So moving on, question number 4 comes in from Ashley. Hi there, Ashley. Thanks for your question and for being part of the WiggyWam community. Ashley says, I'm thinking about getting into property investing. On a couple of groups I've been part of, people talk about a lease option, but I don't know what that is. Am I right in thinking it's similar to rent to buy, or is it something else entirely? Any help would be appreciated. All right, Ashley, well, thank you for your question. Great that you're thinking about getting into property investing, and also good to see that you're not being put off by the current uncertainty in being a landlord and all the rest of it. But that's only one aspect of property investing. Of course, you could be looking at other different strategies, which is what's worth looking at here. Now, to answer your question about what a lease option is, it's actually not dissimilar to rent to buy, which is kind of exactly what you've hit the nail on the head of there. So those phrases are used sort of interchangeably, sometimes with different people depending upon who's advertising the deal and all the rest of it. But the point of a lease option is that it gives you the right, or the option, shall we say, hence the name, to buy a property, but not the obligation. Okay, now it might be a property that's built, it might be a piece of land or something of that nature that you have, you can put a lease option in place on. And it can be quite an interesting way to help you get into a property deal without having to use a ton of cash to fund a deposit and to fund all the legal fees and all the rest of it. It may well be that you're just putting a small down payment up front into the deal. You're then going to make monthly payments. And then at the end of the deal, you'll then likely to pay a balloon payment to close off any existing finance that might be on the property at that point. Okay, so that's typically how a lease option structure works. But the thing is, Ashley, there is a lot of flexibility with lease options as a deal structure type, and it's worth sort of investigating fully what's actually been agreed and whether or not you're the one doing the deal and agreeing it with the person who's selling the property, or whether or not you're buying it as a pre-arranged lease option, i.e. an investor or a deal sourcer has already gone out and they've negotiated the deal, and you're just sort of slipping into the saddle, if you like, to take over that deal and run it forward. Or whether or not, and I have seen this a lot, so just be careful, Ashley, is whether or not you're actually just buying the lead to discuss a potential lease option with a seller. Okay, and that's something that I have seen on a number of different forums. You need to be careful because you could be paying out 150 quid to have a phone call with somebody who isn't actually interested in selling, or isn't actually interested in doing a lease option, or doesn't even know what a lease option is. And therefore, you've got a big mountain to climb in terms of explaining it all to them and trying to get the deal agreed. Okay, and particularly if you haven't done this before, which it sounds to me like you haven't, then you're going to have a hard time trying to convince somebody that this is the right way to go with selling their property. Okay, so what I would encourage you to do, Ashley, if you're thinking about going down this route, is to do your due diligence. Okay, you must do your due diligence on this. You've got to look into the terms of the deal. One of the things that does catch people out is the position the property is likely to be in at the end of the term of the option. Excuse me. And what that means is, if the deal's it might be a 3-year lease option, it might be a 5, or it might be a 25-year lease option, whatever the time frame of the deal is. At the end of that term, is there enough equity in the property to make it? What's the word I'm looking for here? In order for you to execute the deal and buy it and clear any remaining mortgage debt that might be on the property. Okay, so to give you an illustrative example, let's say, for example, the mortgage on the property is 250,000. Okay, that's the current mortgage using fairly round figures, and it's an 11-year lease option. And at the end of the term, you have doubts whether or not that property might be worth 250,000. It is possible properties, slip into negative equity and all the rest of it. So you've got to think, in 11 years. When this deal comes to an end, is there going to be enough equity in the property, or is the property going to have increased in value enough for me to execute the deal at 300,000, 325,000 to allow me to pay off that existing mortgage? And that may not be the case. Only you can answer that by doing your due diligence, which is why I'm encouraging you to do that. So that's something really important to do. The other thing I would say is you need to be very careful, and this is where a solicitor will come in handy in terms of helping you understand whether or not you could be in breach of the mortgage terms and conditions on the existing property. Now, if the property is owned free and clear by the seller, then no big deal. It would be great that you could enter into a deal as far as that's concerned, but the likelihood is there will be a mortgage on the property. The seller needs to manage that, and the payments need to be made every single month in order to keep their credit rating clean and all the rest of it. And then at the time of execution of the deal, there has to be sufficient equity in, unless you're going to put your hand in your pocket because you like the property that much and then pay off any difference between the value of the property and what the current mortgage is. And you may not want to do that. And what would be very unfair would be to get 11 years into the deal and then drop the seller drop it on the seller's toes and say, actually, I don't want to buy this property anymore, because they've kind of, after 11 years, of course, they will have bought into the idea that you're going to be the one that owns and manages and runs this property. So you need to be ethical as far as that's concerned, I would say, in terms of doing that deal. But obviously, it does offer a huge degree of flexibility. And it may well be that you could take an option on a piece of land, for example, and the whole reason you're taking that option is that you're not having to part with a huge amount of cash to buy the land and then try and get planning permission on it. If the planning is refused, then you simply exit the option and you don't have to worry about paying tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds for a piece of land that would otherwise be worthless to you if you couldn't get planning. Okay, so I hope that helps, Ashley. You might want to listen to this explanation a couple of times just to try and get your head around what I've been saying. But if you do need any more help and support on that, then let me know, because I do like this sort of troubleshooting around different property investment deals and that sort of thing. So it's worth sort of getting a teeth into if it's something you want to kick around on at a future date. All right. So best of luck with that, Ashley, and let me know if I can help you any further. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for your time, care and attention today by being part of the webinar. Really appreciate it. We're here every week doing this to answer any of your property-related questions, whatever they may be, whether you're an estate agent, conveyancer, letting agent, removals expert, surveyor, or a mortgage broker, or anybody else connected with the entire process. We're here week in, week out to answer your important and pertinent questions, whether that's business-related, property-related, or anything else. So feel free to send them in to us. You can send them through to us on email, which is happytohelp@wiggywam.co.uk. That's happytohelp@wiggywam.co.uk. You can also go to our website, which is wiggywam.co.uk. That's wiggywam.co.uk, and connect with us there and send your questions in. Or you can find us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @wiggywam_UK. So that's @wiggywam_UK. And we'd be delighted to see you on a future episode of our webinars very soon. So that's all from me today, guys and girls. Happy New Year to you all once again. Wishing you all the very, very best. And we're always here to help and assist wherever we can. All right. You take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.